We now begin the discussion on the Grand Coeur Dialogue by the late 19th century French composer Eugene Gigout. The piece has staccatos, tenuto markings, and slurs. We are fortunate to have a recording of Gigout playing this piece, and his playing, which is very articulate, supports the expression marks that he's indicated in the score. I will play the first phrase, and then we will talk about the concepts. Basically have a Dr. Wilma Jensen refers to this as a way to help one play detached chords, for it to come from your gut, for the motion to be forward, coming from the arm, versus just on top of the key, you're coming forward, and that helps to evenly distribute the weight by voicing the chord and giving emphasis to the top note and keeping the thumb light, and also by having a strong chord as well. I will demonstrate playing the chord without the forward motion to hear the difference. Here, there is not a sense of control or even a sense of weight distribution, and one is not getting a sense of grabbing the chord. Before you play the chord, you make the motions in the hand in a cookie cutter shape. Tiam pa pam, pum 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 pa pa pum, with the fingers that you're going to use, and have the fingers that you're not using to be slightly raised. Tiam pa pam. That also helps to voice the chord. There's also an accent placed on the downbeat, and the reason for this, as Jean Lodvik refers to this, is because you want a metrical accent, because the downbeat, the first beat of the measure, is the most important. Concerning articulation throughout the section, whenever you want to emphasize a note, the preceding note has to be de-emphasized. A perfect example of this, within the first measure, are the three pickup notes leading to the downbeat. And a sense of an agogic is then placed on the downbeat, but the three notes that come before are lighter. In this section, we have two touches, the slur and the staccato. For the slur, you want to emphasize the first note. For the staccato, the fingers pull back into the hand towards the palm. Dr. Wilma Jensen refers to this as the pulling out touch. There's also a sense of slight rotation and swinging from the knuckle, because the motions here are more concentrated compared to the very visible motions of playing the chords. It's more concentrated, but a sense of smaller rotation. And just to review again, any motion that comes from the arm and the hands starts and is very important, centered at the sternum, the clavicle, and the shoulder joint, always moves. So it's not an isolated motion here, but it's really the whole body that moves, whether the motions are visible and large or are small. Again, that idea of creating a gradation of dynamics of loud and soft. For the soft is part of the release and comes out of the key. The loud, the weight goes into the key. And again, an emphasis is also played and on the downbeat, a metrical accent in this section. And that is supported by the tenuto marking. Next, we have two different touches going on in the right hand. We have a legato indication by the slur on the top note, emphasizing the melody, and we're out of the key in the inner voice. So you have two different touches. The outer melody, which is legato, and the inner moving parts out of the key. This is mirrored in the left hand. On the last note, there's a staccato marking indicating that that's going to be a soft release. Just because there's a staccato over the note, you want to ask yourself the question of the context. Does it mean that it's really meant to be staccato from short to very short in gradations as far as your options? Or is it a dynamic indication? And that's a question that can be applied whenever you see a staccato. And this is also referred to in the John Laubach book all the way back to the time of Johann Sebastian Bach. No. Here we have three different touches going on. We have the slur of two notes followed by the staccato. There's a bit of an emphasis to lean on the first note again in order to create the slur. In the left hand, you have the attached chords. I'll play that with the pedal. And again, the forward motion where the wrist and the arm come forward and are slightly raised to play the chord. This is a very quick motion as far as the timing of the line because the attack and the release is part of one gesture. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. So compared to the Vierne, where the wrist is slower in motion, here the wrist is going to be faster in motion. Okay, so in general, the movement is much quicker, and the attacks are more articulate. To review, the motion is coming from the forearm. For the staccatos, for the tenuto markings, you're playing through the chord. An emphasis or accent is played on the downbeat, which is a metrical accent. If you want to emphasize a note, the preceding note has to be de-emphasized. You can create an agogic accent in this way. Whenever you have a slur, you want to lean in to the first note. For the staccato, you pull out of the key, pulling out touch. The fingers draw back into the palm. These are the concepts that are helpful to be applied to the Grand Chœur dialogue by Eugene Gigout.